4 o'clock, a Tulsa woman who grew up in Britain says she's devastated about Queen Elizabeth's death. Thank you for joining us on this Friday. I'm Jonathan Cooper. Just recently, she sewed a quilt of the Queen's face in honor of her Platinum Jubilee. News on 6's Kristen Weaver is live with if that quilt ever made it to the palace. Kristen?
Well, Jonathan, Davida Bushrod tells me that quilt took her longer than 100 hours to make, and she says that she finally found out it did make it to the palace just this morning.
She was steadfast and dutiful and constantly there.
Davida Bushrod grew up in Hampshire but lives in Tulsa. She says Queen Elizabeth's death is devastating.
It's just not something I've ever seen before, basically.
Davida makes pixel quilts and decided to make one for the Queen to celebrate her Platinum Jubilee. It took her 110 hours and has 2,700 pieces of fabric and thousands of beads. Once she was finished, she sent a letter to the Queen asking if she could send that quilt.
Okay, well, I'll go ahead and send a letter and I'll send photographs. So that's what I did in May.
Davida says she was stunned when she got a letter back from the Queen's lady-in-waiting, asking for her to go ahead and send the quilt to Buckingham Palace.
Beginning of July, I got a letter with the royal crest on it.
The quilt was on display in Tulsa and Britain for a while, and in the meantime, Davida quilted a replica for her family to keep. After a long journey, Davida says the quilt finally arrived at the palace just this morning.
Today, it arriving and King Charles being there, I'm like, well, maybe this is how it was supposed to be from the start.
Davida says she's proud to have even had her name in the same sentence as Queen Elizabeth, because she says the Queen was a fixture in the lives of people all over the world.
The Queen was always a constant. She was like the nation's grandma.
Now, Davida says that she is quilting a different inspirational woman each month this year, and she's already quilted Maya Angelou and Frida Kahlo. Live in Tulsa, Kristen Weaver, Oklahoma's Own, News on 6.